base unit can be anything. So let's take, for example, meters. Meters is the base unit. It doesn't have a prefix in front of it. Okay, so meters is like the root of the word, and we can put a prefix on top of meters to make it mean different things. So we could say a centimeter. Okay, so we added a prefix on the front of the base word. Okay, so on top of the base unit. So here it's like we have our prefix, base unit. Okay, so if we have our base unit is meter, we can put centi in front of it, and that will indicate to us something that the units have now changed. Okay, now when you go to the chart, you can see how much has the units changed by. Okay, so if we go to centi, it tells us, okay, that's the symbol that we put in front of the base unit. So then we know our base unit is M for meters. So the C is, now it's centimeters. Okay, see that? Yeah? Okay. I know it seems simple with centimeters, but it gets, I'm using it as a simple example so that when you get to a more complex example, you can understand the chart. Okay? So how much has it changed by? Well, when you think a centimeter, that's 100th of a meter, right? So it's changed by 2 decimal places. Which way did it go? It got smaller. Okay? So a centimeter is 100th of a meter. So a centa whatever is always 100th of the base unit. Okay? So if you're going from centimeters to meters, you decrease, or you move the decimal place 2 units to make it a smaller value. Okay? So, and that's how it works with the whole rest of the chart. So say you're told you have mega meters. Say a question says you have 76 megameters. You need to be able to convert 76 megameters into meters, if you have to, or whatever. You won't be given that. Okay, you are expected to convert it. But that chart that you have on your data sheet gives you the tools to do the conversion. You have nothing else. Okay? So that chart is very important that you take some time to orient yourself with it and understand it, because that's your only tool in your toolkit. Okay? So then you look at, okay, mega. How much bigger is it? Okay, well, the decimal place has moved 6 spaces. Okay? So that's a bigger by times 10 to the 6. Okay, so yeah. Now, what we're going to do, this first thing, so let's do a couple examples, but I want you to actually modify the first example. We're going to do something a little bit simpler. Instead of going to kilometers, can you just erase it, please, and put meters? Because it's just a little bit complex going to the other way. So you may just be able to, think this in your head exactly what it is. You can think of it quickly. But I'm going to show you a technique of how to convert that you can apply to a more complex situation, okay? So, how you do this. You write out the number you're starting with. Okay? Now, what you need to think is you want to eliminate this unit and make a new unit, okay? Okay? So you want to end up with something in meters, right? That's what we need to think about. How do I get there? You almost want to think of your unit as a variable that you want to cross off, okay? So if I want to get rid of this unit, I can times by a fraction. Okay, just go with me here. This is there's multiple ways to do conversions. This is one way I'm going to teach you, okay? So if I want to get rid of meters, what needs to be in my fraction? Millimeters, sorry. Where does the millimeter unit, if we think about it as a variable, where does it need to be on the fraction, the top or the bottom? if I want it to cross off or cancel off? The bottom. Because, look, if you, now you can cross it off. See that? Okay. Now, if I want to end up with meters on the top, what needs to be on the top of my fraction?
Meters.
Meters. Okay. We're rolling. Okay. So that's how you set up what needs to be on the top of the fraction and the bottom of the fraction. You think to yourself, what do I want to cancel out and what do I want to have? Now, here comes the part where you need to look at your chart and see what is the fraction? What do I need to compare? Okay, so you go to the millimeters, and it's changed by times 10 to the power of 3.
Negative.
Negative 3, thank you. So, there is 10 to the power of negative 3 meters in every 1 millimeter. Okay? So now, you can actually put that into your calculator and you will get the correct value. Okay, so plug that in, and I know you can actually think in your head, well, I just divide by 1,000, right? So what's my answer? 5.5. What's my answer in sig digs? Because I did a multiplication, so I need my multiplication rules. So I started with 4 sig digs, so I need to end with 4 sig digs. Okay? So that's my final answer. Now, this is the same. Timesing by 10 to the power of negative 3 is the same calculation as dividing by 1,000. Because it's the same thing as dividing by 10 to the power of 3. It's the same thing. The only reason I'm teaching you this method is when it gets more complex, this will be helpful. Okay? For the easy ones that you know, like centimeters and kilometers, you can just do that in your head probably. Okay? But it gets a little bit more complex. So, let's let's just take this a little bit more space here. And now let's say we have to now convert to kilometers. Okay? So now we're going to convert that to kilometers. So we go 5.500 meters. I want to end up with kilometers. So I need to times by a fraction where I cancel out meters and have kilometers on the top. So, to do so, I'm going to put my meter value on the bottom and my kilometer value on the top. Then you go and you look at your chart. What is the comparison here? Okay? So, there is 10 to the power of 3 meters in every 1 kilometer.
But on the K it says 10 to the power of 3.
That's right. But it's because it's comparing it to the initial base value. So if a kilometer is that much more meters, then a meter has that much in 1 kilometer. So if a kilometer is that much more, then for 1 kilometer, that's how many meters are in there. Because there's lots of meters in 1 kilometer, right? Yeah. So when you're going up, it's like you put it in the base unit. When you're going down, like when it's a smaller one, you put it in, well, I guess you maybe always put it in the base unit. Yeah. So here again, now if you put that into your calculator, What do you get? Yeah, you need to go times by 1 divided by this. So if you might need to put this in brackets. Or it's the same thing as going 5.500 divided by 10 to the power of 3. Okay? So what value do you get? 0. 5. So in sig digs, what should my answer be? 0.005500 kilometers. That's correct. It looks a little messy though, so I would probably put it in scientific notation, just for kicks, you know. This is also a correct answer. I would prefer to go 5.500 times 10 to the power of 3 kilometers. Negative 3, thank you. I was like, wait, that's not right. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I want to point something out to you. Would there have been a way that I could have just right away gone from millimeters to kilometers?
You can use the exponents on the tens to just move the decimals.
Yes, yeah, we can do that. But like if I use this system, could there have been a way I would have just jumped right from, like could I make a fraction where I would have just jumped from millimeters to kilometers?
If you see that it's 10 to the power of 3 and 10 to the power of negative, so you just add it together and you get 10 to the power of negative 6.
Okay.
So then 5,500 times 10 to the power of negative 6 will give you.
Yes. Good. Okay. Or you could have written it out in 2 different fractions. Just like we did, taken the millimeters and convert it to meters, and then just done the next step, but written it all out at once. There are many, many ways to do conversions, okay? Some of you, depending how your brains work, you will prefer different methods over others. Whatever works for you, do that, okay? This can be a difficult one, but it is helpful once you see the complexity that builds in Physics 30. So let's do another one where it is a little bit more complex, and the way that the way I just showed you is much more practical. Okay? So let's do this one, converting kilometers per hour to meters per second. Okay? So, yes, you can do the short version, but if you don't remember what it is, then you got to do this. Okay? So, let's say the bell's gonna ring like. I think it's gonna ring like now. Should we leave?
Oh, if it would have went right now, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it's 11:40.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's gonna go like right away. So let's just.